Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Cajun Night Live. I am your host, the Cajun Knight, Jacob Mook. And I just got back from my retreat this past weekend, had an amazing time. The members of the retinue and me were just kind of having our talk. We usually for the first 20 minutes or so, just BS about things and stuff. And we started talking about religion and history and just things and stuff. I enjoyed these conversations. I really do. And if you listening would like to know what is the conversation going on behind the scenes, how this episode got made, the things that got put in and why and all of it, and you want to get these shows commercial free, the best place to go would be to go to patreon.com/Cajun Night. There's only one tier for entry to join in on this conversation every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Central. But yet we also release this on the Cult of Conspiracy. The Cajun Night is also an affiliate of the Cult of Conspiracy. So if you're listening to it, I hope that you enjoy the conversation. And if you would like to join in, go to the link in the show notes below. Without further ado, we are going to be talking a little bit about some pop culture, mostly about some governmental stuff. We might have some history or some other side tangents thrown in. Y'all know how we do. But just so everybody is clear, the CIA director that just went to and from Moscow, some opinions are varying as of time of recording as far as what he did there and why. So we got two sides of that conversation that we are going to be having on this episode, along with starting off with, I should say, the strange circumstances surrounding Caroline Leavitt's departure from her position in the White House. Let's get into it. All right, let's start off with the homepage for the Daily Beast. Disturbing secret behind Caroline Leavitt's departure has been revealed. Allegedly, the swamp discloses the question Washington insiders are asking about the press secretary's big new job. Donald Trump wants to crush the swamp. The leaks, sneaks, and the secrets are all there. Our writers, that's a plug. Let's see. Essentially, the swamp can reveal that Caroline Leavitt has another reason for leaving the White House apart from being a mom to her two kids. She is planning the future of the president. The 29-year-old firebrand is returning to MAGA Inc., the shadowy cash cow that has become the secret source of Donald Trump's hold over the Republican Party with a $400 million war chest. The big question being asked in Washington corridors of power is why such an unprecedented amount of cash is being raised for a lame duck president. The real concern being whispered about this is that Trump is secretly plotting a constitution-busting campaign to run for a third White House term. Okay, so we can at least ascertain the majority of what's being said here. Allegedly, and this is not verified by me, so I'm reading the report here, Caroline Leavitt is going to work for MAGA Inc., which is just funding Trump. And if that is true, and if they are really trying to make a constitution-busting pack, if you will, that's going to start lobbying and essentially bribing politicians to pass legislation where Trump could make it for a third term. Unprecedented isn't the word. I don't think that they got enough. $400 million ain't enough to make that kind of change happen, y'all. I'm sorry. If you would have said $400 billion, yeah, you could grease some palms. You could you'd have certain Democrats even lining up to vote for that. $400 million, that'll sway some votes. That's not going to sway enough to make that make sense. I'm sorry. But we will see. We'll see how that plays out. Speaking of Trump and doing that may backfire, let's talk about the beef industry, which is absolutely backfiring on us now. Trump's beef plan backfires on ranchers.
The president's plan is to lower retail beef prices by 25% by allowing 300,000 metric tons of ground beef to be imported into the U.S. duty-free for the next 90 days. Now, the plan lacks specifics, and market and industry experts tell me it won't bring retail beef prices down, and it's just drawing fire from the cattle industry. The 300,000 metric tons of beef trim imports equal about 45 days of supply when the U.S. is already importing record amounts.
This will be around 660 million pounds of beef. We consume about 28 billion pounds a year, so it's a relatively small percentage. But the imports as a whole now are representing about 22% of all the beef available in the United States.
Just through June, our imports are already up 29% year over year. Over $9 billion of beef coming into the U.S.
There are no details on which countries will import the beef, but South America is likely, which raises food safety red flags.
Unfortunately, all of these countries have a history of foot and mouth disease. They have a history of other issues.
Officials say the plan is unlikely to work and will have unintended consequences for cattle producers.
It's not going to have the desired effect of lowering beef prices, but what it does do is it sends a lot of uncertainty out of the countryside, and it discourages our cattle producers from rebuilding their herds.
Plus, there's no enforcement, which makes retailers unlikely to play along.
You're going to get 300,000 metric tons into the whole chain in 90 days, and then they're going to charge 25% less than what? 25% less than, I mean, the logistics make this, to me, so improbable.
So Cuema says this is flawed policy, especially as beef prices were already correcting.
This isn't going to change anything. If anything, it makes it worse. We've been going lower since the 4th of July. It was already going down on its own because that's the way the market functions.
Bullard agrees the president's plan is short-sighted and politically motivated.
Of course, the midterms have to be a consideration because he will want his party to win the midterms. So he's trying to appease consumers.
And the plan is already backfiring as cattle producers are outraged.
We need the government to stop trying to import its way to lower beef prices.
I have to agree. We literally just talked about this on an episode on the Cult of Conspiracy, the truth behind the meat industry. I think it was last week. I believe it was last week. It is absolutely mind-blowing. The fact that we are importing beef, especially right now, is it's not going to level off anything at all. All it's going to do is hurt American beef farmers, but Trump's doing Trump. Speaking of, let's talk about something within the Trump cabinet. The CIA director, John Ratcliffe, warned Russia not to attack NATO during his secretive trip. For those that don't know what secretive trip I'm talking about here, John Ratcliffe got on I'm trying to think of the name of the plane. I read it in the report, and it'll probably say something here. He got on a government plane and flew directly to Moscow, got off, spent a few hours there, and then flew right back. Trump is trying to make this seem like it's a very routine trip. It happens all the time. This was not routine. Nothing about this is standard procedure, because if it was, there would have been a different type of reception. There would have been secrecy about it. There wouldn't be this whole question mark of what's going on. So it has led people to speculate what this trip was about. This article from CBS is saying that the trip was to warn Russia not to attack NATO. Now, I have been following the Russia-Ukraine war since it started. Not as closely as a lot of people. Okay, I'm not going to sit here and say that I have my finger on the pulse of what's going on in Ukraine right now. What I will say is that I have just kind of been keeping an ear to the ground for it for a while. In no way, shape, or form has it seemed that Russia is getting ready to attack NATO. The argument could be made that some of the drones that have flown over NATO countries that have gone down, and some planes have flown over airspaces that are not their own. This is true. I would not say that that was an attempt. That was more of a probe. If we are attributing it strictly to malice, we could say that those were probing gestures, not attacks. Okay. There's been a few, I know there's nuances. There's all kinds of situations you could bring up from so many different countries. I'm fully aware. That being said, Russia cannot win the Ukraine war. They are not about to try to start a war with all of NATO. And I'm not saying that they can't win because I'm trying to take the opportunity to dunk on Russia. The 2-week special military operation is on its 4th year right now. I understand that people are also going to say the same thing could be said about Iran with America. Okay, we didn't invade them. We destroyed their infrastructure and certain facilities. Then I understand that's an attack, but it's not to the same level or scope as Russian troops crossing the Ukrainian border on the far east side and a whole separate tangent going through Belarus trying to hit Kiev, the capital city of the nation. These are two different conversations with two different scopes. All right, now that nuance is out of the way, let's talk about what this CIA director was actually doing there. The purpose of CIA Director John Ratcliffe's visit to Moscow this week was to warn Russia not to attack NATO member states, according to multiple people familiar with the matter, amid U.S. intelligence assessments that Russia could try to test NATO. Could. That's a load-bearing statement, a load-bearing word right there. Could attack. Didn't say they're getting ready to. Didn't say there's intel that suggests this. So that you see why I have a little bit of some trepidation. towards the whole trip being to tell Russia not to attack NATO. Bro, if they wanted to attack NATO, they would have done so already. And you could argue that that's why they went into Ukraine, right? Ukraine was trying to become a NATO nation. They said nah, so they took action. Okay, all right. They're not about to invade a NATO country, at least not by any knowledge that I have stumbled upon. So to say that that's what the reason for this secret trip was, I find that that idea to be highly dubious at best. But let's continue. Maybe there will be some smoking gun in this article that I'm just not fully read in on, figuratively speaking. Well, literally in this case, written, literally. Anyway, Ratcliffe also brought up Iran, warning of additional sanctions if the Strait of Hormuz does not reopen to shipping traffic. The people familiar with the matter told CBS News. The secretive visit to the Russian capital came to light on Tuesday after a U.S. Air Force jet was spotted flying into Moscow airport and a diplomat motorcade moving through the city. CBS News was first to report the trip, which is Ratcliffe's first known visit to Russia as CIA director. Ukraine was told that the U.S. delegation would travel to Moscow and was asked to hold off on strikes for the duration of the visit. Okay, once again, Ukraine was told, hey, listen, I know y'all been able to reach Moscow for a bit. I need you to calm down while my boy's in town. The Wall Street Journal was first to report on Ratcliffe's warning not to attack NATO. The CIA declined to comment. Duh, obviously. President Trump confirmed the visit to Moscow in an interview with radio host Glenn Beck earlier Wednesday, but said it wasn't related to Iran or to Russian desires to test NATO, describing it as, quote, semi-routine. It's a semi-routine trip. I'm sorry, it's not. Nothing about this was, because if it was, you would have an actual story as to what was done there. Why was it brought up? Why did he have to go? Anything, any answer, like any would be great, but none. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov told reporters in Moscow that Ratcliffe spoke with Russian intelligence officials but didn't meet the president, Vladimir Putin. Okay, fine. He didn't meet with the president. Okay. Recent American intelligence assessments have indicated that Putin could be willing to authorize provocative action on NATO territory, including cyber attacks, hybrid actions, and other operations that fall short of conventional military action. CBS News reported earlier this month. We did just have a cyber attack situation play out, but especially when it comes to the cyber, dude, that could have been one of 4 countries that currently have a decent cyber attack crew and hackers that get paid to just like do shit. Anyway, moving on. They get paid to hack. They get paid to do crypto scams. North Korea just did that, $1.6 billion crypto scam or something like that. Like, it's, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't inherently mean it was Russian. Although, if I'm not mistaken, we did have a Russian cyber attack situation happen. But of course, you can't prove that it was the Russian government, the same way that when America does cyber attacks on a country, they can never prove it was us, but it was us. You get what I'm saying here. It's messy, y'all. A pattern of recent Russian attacks has prompted concerns, officials said, including drone incursions into Romania, a Russian missile that crossed into Poland last month, and an uptick in alleged sabotage actions and cyber attacks in Europe. For sure. Like I said, there are some cases like that, but like I said, that seems more like probing to me, not open aggression. Maybe I'm wrong. Under Article 5 of the treaty that created NATO, members of the alliance are expected to come to each other's defense if attacked, a provision that the U.S. invoked after September 11, 2001 terror attacks, which is why we had a lot of foreign cross-training going on in Afghanistan. The British Royal Marines got in on that. The Dutch Marines were cool. We had some Italian forces that went out that way. That was a NATO joint operation. Absolutely. We definitely carried the lion's share of that by leaps and bounds, but yes, there were other countries that got in some good cross training. Some other countries got some solid combat and got some kills under their belts. So, I'm not going to diminish the efforts of all that were present. You know what I mean? Mr. Trump also publicly pushed Russia and Ukraine to end their 4-year-long war. Shocker. Though diplomatic efforts have appeared to stall, as they've been the entire time. Meanwhile, Russia has maintained its partnership with Iran during the U.S. war with the Middle Eastern state, providing intelligence to Iran on U.S. positions in the region. CBS News reported earlier this year. 2 countries have also cooperated on drone manufacturing for years. Okay, so at least this is one side of the story. John Ratcliffe clearly went to Russia to warn Russia not to attack NATO, which it hasn't done in the past 4 years. Now, I am not saying that it's impossible for Russia to just decide, you know what, screw it. It's us versus the world, and just go in there and start blasting. Okay, yeah, that's a possibility. I don't believe that that's the case as of this moment, as of time of recording. We will see how things shake out. This is a video from Forbes, and I'm going to be honest, it's just a lot of music and words on screen, so I'm actually going to read it as it goes through. But let's see what Forbes has to say on this, because they have a different yet similar opinion on what's going on here. So Trump claims the CIA Director Ratcliffe's surprise trip to Russia is a semi-routine trip. We just talked about that. Let me lower the volume so I can actually read this while we're learning, y'all. President Donald Trump downplayed CIA Director John Ratcliffe's surprise visit to Russia on Wednesday, claiming Ratcliffe's visit was semi-routine and widespread. Let's see, on Wednesday, claimed Ratcliffe's visit was, oh, Jesus Christ. That just went crazy on me. Would make an unannounced trip to Moscow. It's semi-routine. Ratcliffe was in Moscow for talks on Tuesday. Multiple outlets reported with its arrival in Russia, only confirmed initially through anonymous sources and never publicly confirmed by the White House. The covert nature of Ratcliffe's visit, which marks the first time the CIA director has traveled to Russia since 2021, sparked widespread speculation on Moscow amid reports that Russia could make incursions into NATO countries around Ukraine, or that he was discussing the war in Iran and new sanctions that the Trump administration has. I shouldn't have paused it. Damn. And then it plays that quickly. Lord have mercy, that the Trump administration has what? This has imposed on countries it's doing business with. Lord have mercy. Right-wing commenter Glenn Beck asked Trump about Ratcliffe's visit in an open interview Wednesday, noting the crazy speculation around it and raising theories, which, of course, there's tons of theories here, right? That Ratcliffe had discussed Russia attacking NATO countries or the new Iran sanctions. Trump claimed Ratcliffe's visit dealt with none of the above, responding to the theories Beck presented, saying the CIA chief's trip to Moscow was semi-routine, and adding, quote, I hate... oh, God, dog, it moves too fast. It wants to be slow, and then it moves at the last second. It's so annoying. I hate to disappoint people. Oh, wow. To President's comments after the Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov confirmed Ratcliffe's visit Wednesday, telling the reporters the CIA chief met with Russian intelligence services. Okay, so CIA director's going to the Kremlin. Gotcha. No meetings with Vladimir Putin. You already talked about that too. John Ratcliffe is a fantastic guy. He's not in there for any of the things that you said, Trump told Beck on Wednesday, after noting that the Trump administration would like to see... would like to see the war in Ukraine end. Yeah, so would everybody, bro. It's not a hot take. The president added that something may come out of Ratcliffe's visit, however, noting his administration was working very hard to get the Russia-Ukraine war ended. Not really hard enough, but all right. And it's nothing we can really do on that front, dude. They'll decide when they're done. Peskov did not comment extensively on Ratcliffe's visit Wednesday, explaining the U.S. official had met with intelligence officials, but not Putin, adding that that's all I can say on the matter. So, I mean, it's whatever it was enough to where everybody's pretty much just keeping their lips sealed on this. The Kremlin official added Putin had been briefed immediately about everything and would not speculate on how the visit could impact Washington and Moscow's strained ties or relationship. We'll see which one it comes up with. But relationship, there you go. How much is it worth? How much this will impact the overall process of recovering our bilateral relations from the profound crisis they are currently in is premature to say, Peskov said. Wow, that is a very wordy way to say, I don't know what's going to happen. That's so wordy. That's borderline pretentious. But all right, fine. It's very difficult to say, he says. Ratcliffe's visit comes before the FBI Director Kash Patel potentially goes to Russia this fall, with the Politico reporting in July that Patel was planning a Moscow trip in October. Interesting enough. So this would be the one that took Bongino's spot. The visit, should it happen, would mark the first trip by the FBI Director to Russia since the former FBI Chief Robert Mueller went there in 2013. Oh, I said Bongino. That was FBI, not CIA. Excuse me. The reason for Patel's trips are still unclear. So the unannounced nature of Ratcliffe's trip, coupled by how rare it is for CIA chief to head to Moscow directly, raised eyebrows among foreign policy experts. Yeah, I would say so. That's the entire reason why we're having this conversation. Continuing on here, the Americans don't normally send such a high-ranking official to Moscow unannounced at short notice unless something is up. John Foreman, a former British military attaché to the Prime Minister, said. Or attaché to Russia, told the BBC. Beth Sanner, a former U.S. Deputy Director for National Intelligence, told the Wall Street Journal that Ratcliffe may have been in Moscow to warn Russian officials, quote, "We know what you are thinking about doing and you better not," or to bring Russia into the discussions over a ceasefire in Iran. Maybe that second option, but I really don't see that either. The last CIA director to visit Russia, William Burns, traveled there in 2021 to warn Putin against invading Ukraine, which did not dissuade Moscow from starting war against Ukraine. So, yeah, that was Biden's CIA director who went there and basically said, hey, don't do the thing you're about to do. Russia didn't listen, obviously. Ratcliffe's visit comes more than 4 years into the Russian war against Ukraine, and Kiev has increasingly started launching long-range missiles into Russia, which the Financial Times has said first reported the U.S. asked them to temporarily stop during Ratcliffe's visit. The Journal reported earlier in August that U.S. intelligence suggests Putin could soon try to test NATO's resolve by making some kind of incursion into a neighboring country, which, if he does, could consist of anything from a cyber attack to sending armed troops. I guess we'll see. NATO's alliance requires that all NATO countries come into another's defense when it's under attack. And Heather Connolly, a senior fellow at the American Enterprise Institute, told the Journal at Moscow's goal has always been to challenge the credibility of NATO and to separate the United States from its allies. Tony, you rolled your eyes pretty hard on that one. Do you disagree with that statement?
Yeah, I think NATO is trying to play up this Russian threat as much as possible because
Sure.
you remember we talked about 1 month ago about a Ukrainian unmanned drone that sailed into a Romanian port and nearly blew up a giant fertilizer silo.
Yep.
And if it had succeeded, it would have been, oh, see, Russia did this, obviously, and all the evidence would have been destroyed. So they got to keep this drumbeat up of we're being threatened by Russia, threatened by Russia, threatened by Russia. So if something happens, all it takes is something to happen.
Right.
It's like, oh, see, look, they did it. See, this is what we've been waiting for.
So I agree with what you're saying here. I think NATO is like drumming things up and making it seem like more of a big deal than it actually is. That's why I've been saying, like, dude, most of this, I would say maybe a probing action. I would not take it as a aggression. You know what I'm saying? But okay, fine. If that's how.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Whatever on that. If the local people, their airspace is invaded by Russia and they feel some type of way, they're justified. Okay, but I don't think they're about to invade NATO countries. But what do you think the FBI directors, or I'm sorry, the CIA director's trip to Moscow was about?
I wish I knew. I think
we're
they must have been
spitballing here,
talking
brother.
about stuff that spitball just come up with anything.
We're hypothetical.
Well,
this is completely hypothetical here.
You might have been talking to him about the whole Iran situation or something else, but whatever it is, I don't think it was meant to be wiretapped. It was meant to be so close and face to face that it couldn't be wiretapped.
Right.
Anyway, to distract a little bit, there's a lot going on in the Middle East, like Israel bombing Turkish targets in Syria and the Strait of Hormuz remaining closed. And I've heard a lot of stuff about the economy. The world economy seems more fragile now than it used to be.
That's very true.
Maybe you've been hearing the same things, but there could be a recession. You know, I mean, maybe we're overdue anyway, but I don't know. I wish I could put it all together more neatly than that, but this is just what I've been paying attention to this week.
I definitely agree with those statements, to be honest with you. I would say that we are approaching, if not just jumping headfirst into another recession. There is a housing bubble that is about to like really get ramped up here. And that's just in this country. I don't know. From what I can tell, the housing crisis all over the world is going on because interest rates and because of this and because of that. Like everybody's economy is like doing trash right now. And even the one, aside from the onesies and twosies that are killing it because they're always gonna, yeah, everybody's feeling the strain right now. And it's not because of the war. It's not because of Israel. It's not because It's individual things that collectively are a real problem for the entire world. I don't know what to think about this whole situation with the CIA director going there. I think that my conspiratorial brain speaks a lot louder than my geopolitical brain on that one, to be honest with you, because that's just what I do. So it could have been about Iran. It very possibly could have been. If it was about Ukraine, I don't see what that would have been. I don't see what that would have solved. You wouldn't send the CIA director. If you were going to send somebody for a wartime thing, maybe somebody within the Joint Chiefs or something to that level, not CIA. I'm trying to remember what the KGB became. It's the OSB or something, whatever Russia's.
FSB.
That's the thing.
It stands for Federal Security Task Force. Federalnaya Sluzhba Bezopasnosti.
There you go. The FSB.
KGB was Committee for State Security, Комитет Государственной Безопасности, which succeeded the NKVD, which is the Национальный комиссариат внутренних дел, which is the National Commissariat for Internal Affairs. And I could give you more Russian acronyms if you wanted, but that's probably enough.
There you go. I somehow didn't know that you would have that like on standby, but also it does not shock me that you have this on standby. So the FSB, I feel like it was probably more of a CIA to FSB conversation. And then they're like, he didn't meet up with Putin. It's like, yeah, he's not going to meet up with Putin. And he's also not like a field agent who went there to do some secret squirrel shit himself. Like that's not at all. I don't think so. So I don't know what to make of it as far as what the FBI, or sorry, I keep mixing up those acronyms, what the CIA director was doing in Russia. I understand why people are starting to assume the worst, because the last time that happened, it was to tell Russia not to invade Ukraine, and then they did. So if there is something working in that regard and he went there to tell them not to do it, then all right. But as far as a ground invasion or something to that scale, if this is when I knew it was about to be go time with Ukraine, when the locals were reporting that there was trucks of blood showing up. Like, yeah, no, that's whenever you knew that they were about to have actual troops on the ground, because they needed blood transfusions on standby for dudes that were getting shot from active combat. That's how you could typically tell. There's a few key logistical things that you could watch to see how the troop movement is about to begin in the 24 to 48 hours before shit starts up. I have gotten no reports as of this moment, as of time of recording, of any kind of logistical movements from Russia to make it seem like they're about to do some sort of crazy thing into a new country, specifically a NATO country. That being said, the situation in the Middle East is not connected to Russia, but Russia is connected to a lot of the countries that are in with the situation in the Middle East. Iran being one of them, yes. Turkey and Russia is also an interesting point to bring up as well, right? Turkey and Russia have traditionally kind of been frenemies. I think that'd be a fair way to say that. They work together.
I'd say mostly enemies, but only more recently getting a little tiny bit warmer, but not much.
At least the heads of these countries are friendly. And Turkey also being the resident redheaded stepchild of NATO and also kind of warming up to Russia. I could see possibly something going on in that regard, especially with Israel hitting Turkish sites. But even still, it's not like they attacked Turkey mainland. So that also doesn't seem that viable as of this moment. Now, shit might escalate, yes, but as of this conversation, I don't think that was it either, but I guess it's a viable possibility.
Oh, yeah, and Israel's government, they said, we had a lot of lawyers analyzing NATO's Article 5 to make sure that if we hit Turkish targets in Syria, that wouldn't trigger Article 5.
Right. And then, interestingly enough, North Korea is about to send thousands of more troops to the Russian-Ukrainian front. And apparently, and dude, I know, Tony, me and you have talked about this also, how the North Korean troops found porn and pretty much gooned themselves into obsolescence. I'm hoping that these dudes have made their way back to North Korea and warned the newer guys that are showing up of hey, let's not do that thing, right? Maybe we don't need the internet for that. I don't know, but that was hilarious. The Goon Brigade that kept getting smoked because they were tracking the IP addresses for these dudes that would not stop watching porn, and that's how they kept finding them with drones. Now, it wasn't all of them. I know not all. Some of the North Korean dudes were more towards the rear that were doing like more, behind the scenes work, but some of them did make it to a front, and it was really easy to track them. So I'm hoping, for the sake of these dudes' lives that have no dog in the fight of Russia-Ukraine, that they learned their lessons and have adopted some sort of a training module towards that. I don't know. What do you think about the North Koreans sending more troops?
I hadn't heard that until now.
I heard somewhere either 30,000 or 100,000. Like it's a pretty sizable amount.
I bet they have enough volunteers, and they're probably going to be a little better at internet security. Everyone screws that up. They kind of have to learn the hard way. Remember that one guy on Strava on a French boat in the Mediterranean who tracked his steps on a ship and gave away the ship's position? Yeah, stuff like that just happens. So maybe the North Koreans have learned their lessons, and I bet there will still be enough volunteers from North Korea, if you can call that volunteering. I think that they really do actually support their leader as much as it looks like.
I think they've been brainwashed into it, but yeah, I would agree with you. I would say the vast majority are just like trying not to get forced into hard labor. So like, sure, I'll clap. I'll treat him like he's a god, whatever. It's cool. Sam, go ahead. I see your hand.
Yeah, one does not simply volunteer in North Korea. You can throw that shit out your mind.
No, but
there is
honestly,
no volunteering.
I believe these soldiers are probably volunteering, to be honest with you, dude. Think about it. It's not a secret that North Korea is having issues feeding their people and always have, right? You get these dudes that are forced into military service, which, for the record, it's not like he's evil for that. Multiple countries do that. South Korea does that, right? So, all right.
I mean, Israel has a mandatory conscription also.
That's what I'm saying. So, like, I don't have an issue with that. Different countries operate different ways. In one regard, I wish America would do something similar, but also there's a lot of inherent problems that come with that. But anyway, so, all right, these dudes who are in the military, whether it was by their will or not, they knew it was their time. They could get the opportunity to actually do something. And you were in the military at one point. You didn't join to be in garrison and just sit around and do nothing. Like, if you get an opportunity to go do some combat things, if for nothing else to travel, that nobody leaves North Korea. These dudes are leaving it being paid to do so. And like, it's going to be dangerous, but like, that's an opportunity of a lifetime for somebody born and raised in North Korea. You know what I'm saying? I think it's probably very willing.
Yes. I mean,
I totally agree. There's not just sticks forcing people into the military. There's a bunch of carrots too in our society and in our enemy society. They get a lot of status from being in that job, especially if they do something heroic and successful that gets a lot of praise.
And the other side of that is if they go on this trip, they get internet access, dude. They look up all the black porn. That's their thing. And so it's like, all right, there's worse. What things? I could stay here and starve, or I can go and have some fun, and like, we'll see what happens. And if they get injured and make it home, they're going to be a national hero for forever. I don't know what the North Korean equivalent of a Purple Heart is or something like that, but like, I'm sure that this is like so much honor on their family. You know what I'm saying? I agree that, there's nothing optional about North Korea, but no, I think these dudes are lining up to please send me.
I think their equivalent is 2 bags of rice and 1 potato.
You know what I'm saying? That's like their pension. Homeboy gets shot, and now he's got that. He ain't got to work. Mama, I made it. I'm throwing it out. So anyway, all right, moving on to the next topic of discussion. Tim Curry has passed, y'all. We were talking about this on the Cult of Conspiracy. Usually these celebrity deaths go in threes. We were waiting to see who the third one was going to be. Y'all, I'm going to be honest with you. When Royce, I think you're the one that first sent it to me, I read Tim Curry. My head said Steph Curry. I thought it was the basketball player. Like all day, I was like, damn, dude, high profile basketball player dies too. What's up? Then I look, it's like, oh, Tim Curry. Holy shit. And there's that meme that went around not too long ago. Like, you could tell a lot about a person's upbringing based off of what movie or what screen time they first saw Tim Curry in. Like, for instance, I had a friend who, as a small child, was watching Rocky Horror Picture Show. And, You know, that was the first time they saw Tim Curry as a young child. And it's like, yeah, you know what? Actually, looking at you yourself and like all of what your life is, that makes perfect sense to me. That was the first that you were watching that at like 4. Yep. No, I'm seeing some patterns, honestly. Then you have somebody who like their first time seeing him was in Three Musketeers or like Muppet Treasure Island. You know what I'm saying? Or Home Alone 2. And it's like, oh, you grew up in a wholesome household. Got you. Okay. So it's a rubric. It was a meme at one point, but I got to say it's right more often than it's wrong. But Tim Curry, the man, myth, the legend, has died at 80 years old. So let's talk about it here. This is him towards the end. He was a shell of his former self, but legendary actor and the Rocky Horror Picture Show star Tim Curry died on Tuesday night at the age of 80. Curry's longtime friend and manager, Marcia Hurwitz, confirmed that to Yahoo, this is from Yahoo, by the way, Yahoo News, that the actor passed away peacefully at his home in Toluca Lake, Los Angeles. The cause of death has not been disclosed. Interestingly enough. The 2012, the British actor suffered a stroke that left him partially paralyzed, and he had been dealing with serious health issues for more than a decade, according to TMZ. Police responded to his home at 11:23 p.m. on Tuesday. There is no foul play suspected. I'll bet there's not. Curry is best known for his wide range of comedic and often villainous roles, accompanied by his unmistakable, rich, theatrical laugh. Yeah, I will say, Tim Curry's laugh was, some might consider it a national treasure. Some think it's creepy. You make your decision. He started his professional career in the late 1960s, shortly after graduating from the University of Birmingham in the UK. The actor told CBS Sunday Morning last year that acting excited him because it was the, quote, the freedom of being someone else. Curry's first paid gig was in 1968 as a London production of Hair, where he met the actor Richard O'Brien, who wrote the 1975 musical comedy Rocky Horror Picture Show. I don't know why I keep screwing up the title of that motion picture, but yeah, that's a thing. I've actually only seen that movie one time. It was as an adult, and I gotta say, I don't understand the hype. I don't understand why that movie became such a cult classic, but at the same time, I love Napoleon Dynamite, and I also don't understand why that movie was so popular. So, like, different strokes, different folks, I suppose. Whatever. He gave
100% with you on both of those.
I don't know why I love Napoleon Dynamite. That's a really stupid movie, but I could watch the entire thing and enjoy myself. Meanwhile, Rocky Horror is just like, phew, I could be doing anything else with my time than watch this, and I would actually probably be better for the experience. But there are those that say he gave a lot of teenagers permission to be different, and I'm very happy that he did have that power. Yeah, maybe we kind of missed the mark somewhere. Maybe teenagers shouldn't be trying to be that level of different. Perhaps they should wait till they're adults and can make their own decisions and dress how they want. That's just my own hot take here. I know. He read more about so anyway, that's him, at least in his prime, right? In 1990, Curry also portrayed the terrifying character of Pennywise the Clown in the television adaptation of Stephen King's It. Overhyped. I'm sorry. It is, the movie and the book are, they're trash. They are cheeks. I'm sorry. I don't get down with it. I think that Stephen King was a better writer when he was on coke. I'll be straight up with you. But the entire premise to it is screwed up start to finish. And then especially the ending, the only way they get rid of it is like, that's pedophilic, y'all. I'm sorry. Like, can we just acknowledge that Stephen King is not right in the head and we just move on with our lives with that truth? But whatever. Anyway, his other widely known roles include Mr. Hector at the Plaza Hotel Nosy Personnel Concierge in 1992's Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. Curry's other mentions include Annie, Clue, The Hunt for Red October. I actually think he did a really good job with that role, by the way. Just throwing it out. The Three Musketeers, Muppet Treasure Island, Addams Family Reunion, and Scary Movie. Few actors can claim to have left as many distinct fingerprints on pop culture, and though he suffered a debilitating stroke in 2012, he continued adding to his achievements as an artist and most recently a writer, Curry's publicist told Yahoo via email. While Curry played a wide range of roles, he wrote in his 2025 memoir Vagabond He was not like any of them. The distinctions between who I really am and who I've pretended to be as an actor have proven to be the source of great disappointment to some audiences. He said this, it's not caused me much personal distress beyond the periodic necessity to deter stalkers. Yeah, this is when he did, I believe, a stage performance of Monty Python and the Holy Grail. He actually played, oh yeah, that's right. Curry performs a number from the musical Spam-A-Lot during the show's Broadway premiere in March of 2005. Yeah, that was like a spoof off of Monty Python, the Holy Grail. So yeah, it's funny. Anyway. Over the course of his career, he earned 3 Tony nominations for his performances in Spam-A-Lot, My Favorite Year, and Amadeus. I actually think he really did a good job with Amadeus as well. He earned a 1994 Emmy nomination for Outstanding Guest Actor in a Drama Series. Look at him, just racking up the awards. He was an absolute legend of the craft, y'all. Nobody's denying Tim Curry's existence in that field, and it is a sad moment for him to pass. We don't need to read the entire article. It's very long. It goes over his whole career. But yes, the man, the myth, the legend, with the chuckle that can make anybody just be super locked into the screen, is no longer with us. And that is the third celebrity to pass away in a very, very short, condensed amount of time. We got Hayden Panettiere, we got Dolly Parton, we got Tim Curry, all within the same week. I'm throwing it out. I'm not trying to be conspiratorial, but typically when it comes to celebrities, they come in groups of 3. We knew somebody else was going to go with this one, so here we go. Anyway, moving on. Sam, I see your hand raised, Sam. I don't know if you want to read or speak on it, but go for it.
Okay, so don't y'all think it's kind of funny? Well, I don't say funny like haha funny, but more like morbid funny that both Dolly and Tim Curry both died. Sent you the same day, and well, they did. Dolly died yesterday morning, and Tim Curry died last night during the cold live. The fact that they were both 80 is kind of weird.
Yeah.
And died less than 24 hours together. That's kind of. I'm not saying that it's not uncommon, but
right.
What are the fucking odds? Also, I agree. I personally don't like clowns, and it was because of Tim Curry's adaptation to it. I've read the book. Not his best work, but it did lay grounds to the foundation of his shared universe, and it was pretty good at world building. I just will say that the pedophilic orgy at the end was unneeded and unnecessary.
There was so many options that he could have gone with as a way to like rid them of the monster. And
also, in I want to say The Shining, that is the movie. In the book, the black groundskeeper who tells them of it and everything. Yeah, he has The Shining. He's the one who tells the kids, yeah, y'all got The Shining and everything. Like he's like a pretty pivotal character, and then he gets killed off by it. And then if you look at it, it and Nanny McPhee are the same species.
I've read that before. That's a part of internet lore, but somehow it actually holds water.
Yeah, because one feeds off of like hope, and the other one feeds off of fear.
I read somewhere that they are also like it's almost like the sun and moon of each other, the yin and the yang. And now there's no actual connection as far as like the writing goes, but if we are to kind of break the fourth wall of the movie lore for a moment, yeah, there's actually some credence to that.
And they both come around only 27 years period, and yeah, it's kind of peculiar. I thoroughly enjoyed the rabbit holes like that.
Yeah, no doubt.
I do too. Off topic, but
no, you're good.
I agree with you. Stephen King, like artistic wise, was better when he was on coke and alcohol.
Yeah,
I think he bummed rushed Cujo out and didn't even go on a cocaine blackout. Didn't remember writing any of it.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest Stephen King fan. I know that some people swear by him and think that he is just a literary mastermind. It's just I've never felt that way about him.
So it's a book, but he writes really good novellas. Rita Hayworth Shawshank is a really good book. That got turned to Shawshank Redemption. The Green Mile, pretty good.
I'll give him those.
Fantastic.
Yep.
Pet Cemetery kind of fucked up.
No bad.
But you say what you will, the dude is pretty good at psychological horror.
I'll give the credit where it's due. I would agree with that statement. But as far as back to the whole Tim Curry, I keep wanting to go Steve Curry, Tim Curry and Dolly Parton situation. So I don't know if there was any connection between them in their personal lives. I do agree with you that it's peculiar, the age and the same day and all these things, the same 24-hour period anyway, right? But I will say that Dolly Parton, she died from cancer that she just like, oh, wow, I got cancer. And then she's gone. Tim Curry was he was fighting multiple medical issues for years. I mean, it is crazy the timing, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know where the conspiracy necessarily lies here. I do believe there's something to unpack here. I haven't done a deep enough dive to like look up the chain high enough to see what that connection is. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir. Sorry for interrupting.
No, you
But
good.
Dolly got every round of the vaccine.
Oh,
And then
that's true.
Then just out of nowhere she gets cancer and everything. Which is also another conspiracy about fast acting cancer. Bob Marley. There's a theory that the CIA were the ones that gave him cancer. I'm not saying I pertain to it, but it's a theory.
I thought Bob Marley died from a gunshot.
No, Bob Marley died from cancer. He had essentially skin cancer. But he was very endorsing the communistic leader at the time.
Yeah.
And the CIA just so happened to gifted him a football.
Yeah, it'd be like that sometimes. Norse Trucker, I saw your hand was raised, brother.
So there's a saying as a witch, right? Death comes in threes. These guys are at 80. So there's another person at 80 that's going to be taken out, but it's going to be an evil one. These two were good, right?
I mean, maybe Tim Curry was evil. Maybe Dolly Parton was the good.
Well, Dolly Parton did say praise to Azazel, and then she wanted Taylor Swift and the
Jennifer
fucking football
Aniston.
player said, "Hey, when you have Taylor Swift and her husband said, "Hey, when you have your first baby, since I'll be a special baby, you should give it to me."
I remember that. Yeah. But I remember her saying like the whole praise the dark one or whatever. She was cheersing tequila. Jennifer Aniston was next to her. It was I've seen that clip make its way.
It was Azazel who she was
That's the
giving
one.
praise to.
Azazel.
Which is the fallen, allegedly the first of the fallen angels on the Mount of the 200 Watchers.
So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Tim Curry is actually the inherent good one and Dolly was the evil one. I don't know. But we'll see. Maybe you're right, Norse. Maybe there will be another 80-year-old that passes here in the next little bit, and that's going to be the third one. I couldn't tell you.
Don't know.
Anyway, all right, let's move on to the next topic here. So this is a Canadian homeboy, and he is feeling some type of way about Trump. This guy apparently has done some very weak, very cowardly things. And this is not Jacob saying this. This is just what the media has portrayed as far as this guy goes. He's a whole lot of talk and very little action. And apparently he just went on a tear about Trump. Let's listen to what he had to say on it.
If President Trump escalates, Canada needs to be ready to do the same. Everything needs to be on the table. We need to use Canada's many points of leverage to create maximum impact.
By the way, real quick, this is Ford. This is the Canadian Premier, Doug Ford, just so everybody listening also knows. And if you want to watch this video also goes up on YouTube these days. Y'all check out the Cajun now on YouTube. Let's continue.
Targeting deep red states and making sure that America's economy feels the pain.
Okay, I was just wondering.
All right, I don't actually, forgive me if I'm ignorant to this, but I don't actually think that Canada could make America's economy feel the pain. They already did that, and like American life just kept on trucking. I don't believe that America's well-being depends on Canadians. I think Canadians' well-being depends on America. But all right, let's continue here.
Wondering, you sound a little more subdued than you did this morning on the radio when you said Donald Trump could kiss your ass. Did the Prime Minister tell you to ask you to tone it down a bit?
No, he didn't. I'm not going to comment, but he wasn't against that. And I have a lot of real estate on my ass, so he has a lot of room to kiss my ass. So,
do you want to respond to these shots? What would you say?
All right, so I do want to read this. This is a post from Trump about the situation here. This is the shots that he's talking about. Shots, not like physical shots fired, more like verbal shots fired. Lots of bluster from Doug Ford, who is the premier of Canadian province of Ontario, but who is better known as the less charismatic, intelligent, and overall unimpressive brother of the late, great Rob Ford. America has been carrying Canada for decades, but no longer. The USA will always be far bigger, richer, and stronger than Canada. Without the United States, Canada couldn't survive. It's where they get all their money. And because their current leadership, primarily Governor Carney and his flunky Ford, they will not be allowed to keep taking advantage of the United States. Their key to survival. Remember, much of the electricity, oil, and gas that Canada gets is transported through the USA. Someone should get these clowns to fall in line, quote unquote, or the consequences for Canada could be worse. Canada's unemployment rate. Hold on, I want to read the entirety of this thing.
no, I don't respond to a dictator like President Trump, a bully like President.
Continue on. He say, we'll listen to him here in a second, but I do want to read the rest of this just so we have the context to what he's responding to. Canada will be far worse. Canada's unemployment rate is now at 10% and rapidly rising. Their businesses are fleeing for the United States, and it's all because their failed policies and inept leadership. The days of ripping our farmers and other businesses are over. Ripping off our farmers and other businesses. Thank you for your attention on this matter, President Donald J. Trump. Real quick, that's rich that Trump is talking about ripping off our farmers when he's importing beef trimmings to rip off. All right, moving on. Anyway, let's listen to what old Doug Ford's got to say to Trump.
President Trump, as I said before, he's the type of guy in school that would take your lunch money one day, take your toque off your head the next day, and then steal your running shoes. But I'm not going to take any advice off a guy that's the king of bankruptcies. Well, we'll see how this goes, but
I will say 4 bankruptcies out of a dude that owns hundreds of companies isn't that bad statistically, and like filing bankruptcy can be a strategic move for business owners. But all right, okay, he has declared bankruptcy 4 times with 4 different companies, so like that is a fair statement. Let's continue.
Wants to put pain on Canadians, we'll leverage every bit of pain we possibly can on Americans. And you know what I feel bad for? I've always said I love the American people. I still stand by that statement because there's a lot of people in the U.S. that are calling me saying, way to go, keep going. You know, your own people, President Trump, don't even like you. And they're going to speak loud and clear when it comes to the midterms. And if I was allowed to, I'd be down there door knocking. You know something? I've been in this game a lot longer than he has. I got skin on me like an alligator. And you think an insult from him hurts me? Well, bring it on, buddy. I'm ready. Bring it on. You know something? I've dealt with guys like you my whole life. And guess what? You all become losers because you're a...
Okay. So just throwing it out, there's a couple of things in there that I don't really think. I don't know if Canada's got pain to leverage. It's a bit of a bold claim. Norse Trucker, as the Cajun Night resident Canadian correspondent, if you would like to weigh in on Mr. Doug Ford, I would really appreciate some clarity on him.
He's a fucking idiot.
Okay. I figured
Plain
as
and
much.
simple.
And it's not because I'm a massive supporter of Trump. Just listen to him go on like this. It's like, oh, so you got your little feelings hurt. I get it.
Yeah. He's a fucking idiot. He tried to ask our premier to...
Is a premier like what we might call a governor?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Continue.
Okay. So he tried asking our premier, Daniel Smith, to back him up, right, in cutting off supply to America for oil. She basically looked at him. She basically told them that's not going to fucking happen.
Yeah. Because that's like one of Canada's main money makers.
Right there.
So we're going to make America feel the pain. What you going to do? You're going to up some oil prices? Like we don't
Yeah.
buy oil from anyone else. Like that's what I'm saying.
Like
I don't.
Venezuela now.
Right.
You like you got he just overthrew the government of Venezuela. You don't think they would go or Donald Trump would be like, "Hey, I put you in power. Give me that oil."
And that's exactly what the new president of Venezuela is doing. She's playing ball. She ain't trying to get Maduro'd. So like, no, I don't know. Whenever I saw this, I was like, yeah, we could talk about it. Old boy is just going on a little tear about old Donnie T.
Yeah, no, it's Ontario Premier, right? I've already said I want to build a wall right at the border there.
Sounds like it's like the California of Canada. So it sounds like their version of Gavin Newsom calling out Trump. And it's like, okay, can you go back to the house, dog? Nobody needs to hear from you.
Yeah, pretty much.
Absolutely. Well, there we have it. Canadian Premier is being a liberal, as it were. But all right. So now let's talk about this one here. This is from, where's the publication? mlive.com. Okay, let's check them out. Nearly $1 billion in contracts goes to major weapon supplier for bomber and radar work. We're not going to read the whole article, but just the synopsis of it here. The Pentagon awarded Raytheon, Northrop Grumman, and Boeing $982 million in separate contracts, according to a Tuesday notice. The Air Force Lifecycle Management Center, Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, Ohio, awarded Raytheon a $603 million contract ceiling to equip B-52 bombers with a more advanced radar system. Dude, the B-52 will just never die. Grandpa Buff's always going to be here. The project, expected to be completed by August 20th, 2031, will be performed in Forest, Mississippi, El Segundo, California, McKinney, Texas, and Warner Robins, Georgia. Boeing's $163 million deal is also issued by the Lifecycle Management Center, is for new bomb racks for B-52 bombers compatible with the new radar systems. Work will be performed in San Antonio, Texas, and is expected to be completed by the December 20th of 2028. Northrop Grumman secured a $216 million addition to a previously awarded contract for Deep Space Advanced Radar Capability, or DARC, Site 2 project, a ground-based radar system for tracking objects in space. That's incredible. Northrop will carry out the week at Colorado Springs, Colorado, and is expected to complete it by March 30th, 2030. Space Systems Command Directorate of Contracting at Peterson Space Force Base, Colorado, issued the award. Okay. I just wanted to bring it up. You know what I mean? The military-industrial complex is eaten in America right now, and some of it's for very cool things. Some people are going to disagree with the budget spending in that regard. Okay. I don't know. I kind of like the fact that America's got the coolest toys as far as the military is concerned. So, you know, it's one of those necessary evils to me personally, but everybody's got their opinion on that. Moving on, I did want to highlight some of my Marine brothers. I don't know these dudes personally, but shouts out in Semper Fi here. Marines at Abbey Gate awarded Bronze Star medal upgrade. 2 Marines caught in the attack received upgraded Bronze Star with V device. V would be for valor, right? So you'll see this a lot when you have, like Biden has mentioned this about how his son deployed and was awarded a Bronze Star. Officers get handed Bronze Stars like the enlisted ranks get awarded good conduct medals. It's a pat on the back for officers. The V device means that you earned it in something that is related to combat. That V on the medal means a lot. So these 3 are the 2 Marines and 1 sailor, it looks like. I'm sorry, he's wearing a suit. I thought that was him in his dress whites for being a sailor. But all right, let's read about it here. Marine injured by a suicide bomber outside of Abbey Gate at the Kabul airport tended to other Marines and provided cover in the wake of the attack. Later that night, he sat in his room digging shrapnel out of his own hip. He had avoided medics and his own platoon sergeant at the scene of the explosion, afraid he'd be ordered to leave the scene if they saw the severity of his wound. Dude's an absolute fucking G. On Wednesday, Lance Corporal Jordan Houston was one of the 3 Marines who received awards for their actions at Abbey Gate following the attack outside the Kabul airport 5 years ago. The attack killed 13 U.S. service members and approximately 170 Afghans. Yeah, I remember this case. Defense Secretary, that would be War Secretary I can't believe they keep messing that up, but okay. Pete Hegseth awarded the Bronze Star Medal with V-Device for Valor to Houston and Gunnery Sergeant Jonathan Eby. Hegseth awarded Corporal Michael Gretson the Navy and Marine Corps Commendation Medal with a V-Device. Oh, that's the third one. So we got 2 Bronze Stars and 1 Navy Marine Corps Com, all with V-Devices. That's sick. All 3 served in 2nd Battalion, 1st Marines, 2-1 out there in these streets. During the operation when the blast went off, the unit had arrived in Kabul on August 14, 2021 to do security at the airport for the evacuation of American citizens and Afghan allies. Yeah, we remember the fiasco. Speaking at the ceremony, Marine Corps Commandant Eric Smith described how dozens of Marines were immediately injured. Shrapnel from the blast, he said, punctured tear gas canisters and Marines were carrying, filling the blast zone with gas as the Marines began to rally. Each of today's awardees, this direct quote, demonstrated courage under extreme duress, under extreme personal risk. They remain committed to the mission and selflessly devoted to one another, Smith said. I won't say congratulations because it's an award no one ever wants to get, but damn well earned. Fucking raw or some shit, y'all. Houston was conducting crowd control at Abbey Gate, Smith said, when the blast went off just 10 meters from him, knocking him unconscious. He woke after the blast, maintained his exposed position to cover his fellow Marines, and continued to treat others nearby who were more grievously wounded than he was. Yes, indeed. He continued assisting with casualties, all while concealing his own wounds for fear of being taken out of the fight. It's a fucking warrior there, dude. I don't know where we find such men, but I'm not sure we deserve them, Smith said, Commandant Smith. Later that night, he quietly removed the shrapnel himself before receiving treatment from medical personnel, digging the shrapnel out of his own body. Gretson was also assisting with crowd control when the bomb went off. He was injured by shrapnel and applied a tourniquet to his own arm, which sucks. Despite his injuries, Lance Corporal Gretson remained at his position until he was ordered to receive care. They once again had to be ordered to stand down. Nearby medical personnel bandaged his arm. Gretson returned to help his squad until his platoon sergeant, Eby, ordered him to a casualty collection point. Eby, who was running refugee screening, was also nearby when the blast went off. Quote, as soon as he regained his footing, he continuously exposed himself to scan for threats and reestablish a security perimeter. With security already set, he began providing life-saving aid to other Marines. Eby began directing casualty evacuations while supervising security at Abbey Gate. The Abbey Gate attack came as U.S. personnel gathered outside the airport with American citizens and Afghans desperate to leave the country after the Taliban captured Kabul on August 15th. Over a 2-week round-the-clock airlift, more than 124,000 Americans, Afghans, and other allies were evacuated. Okay, this is legit. In the years following the U.S. withdrawal at Abbey Gate, dozens of service members received awards such as Bronze Stars, Distinguished Flying Crosses, Air Medals, and Presidential Unit Citations. In April, 7 other Marines received upgraded awards with V-Device. Yes, indeed. So I just wanted to highlight this, I feel like not enough Americans are highlighting our heroes anymore. And I feel like while I still got a voice to do it, that's what we're going to do. Sam, go ahead, man.
That devil dog made Chelsea Puller fucking proud.
I would have to agree with you, sir. Absolutely agree. All right, moving on to the next topic here. As we're talking about veterans and combat and all these things, the alleged mastermind behind 9/11 is about to finally have his day in court. Let's learn about that.
25 years after the deadliest terror attack in history, the alleged mastermind of 9/11, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, will face justice in court. A military judge has finally set a trial date for the now 61-year-old. The case has had delays over evidence and claims of torture at the hands of the CIA. Aaron Katersky joins us now. So, Aaron, what can you tell us about the start of this trial?
With the 25th anniversary of the 9/11 attacks now just days away, Perry, a military judge is finally setting a trial date for the alleged mastermind. Khalid Sheikh Mohammed has been held at Guantanamo Bay for the last 2 decades. His case endlessly delayed. He tried actually to plead guilty, avoid a possible death sentence 2 years ago. The Pentagon rejected that. And so now this military judge is setting a trial date for June of 2028. That has to be a relief for some of the families of the nearly 3,000 people killed in those attacks a quarter century ago, Perry.
Do we know why this case has been delayed for so long?
The main reason is the allegations that Mohammed and his co-defendants have made about being tortured in CIA prisons as they were captured in Pakistan. And it's still not clear how the military tribunal is going to handle those kinds of allegations and how that will factor in. There's almost no doubt about Mohammed's guilt. He has boasted of planning the 9/11 attacks from A to Z. He has sworn his allegiance to Osama bin Laden in open court. But once he goes on trial, the judge will still have to set some parameters about his allegations of being tortured and the evidence that has so far largely been kept classified.
Okay, so with that being said, I don't know how many of you are paying attention to the former CIA officer, John Kiriakou. I'm probably mispronouncing the last name. My apologies. He's been making his round going on different podcasts. Hell, he just went on Theo Vaughn to talk about it. He was arrested, actually, for blowing the whistle on the CIA torture that was going on. And he is the reason why they now understand that torture, like psychologically, has never yielded positive results that have saved American lives. And so to say that this dude, he tried getting the case pushed back and all these things and tried entering a guilty plea and the question of torture. Yeah, we understand full well he was being tortured. Nobody's denying that. Okay, now that has been said, cool, moving on. Y'all know me, I being the conspiracy theorist that I am, with the whole 9/11 being an inside job thing. This is not something that I am shy about. This would be the fall guy, but even still, him boasting about planning it and being loud and proud about it and swearing allegiance to Osama, all that, like, you know, and maybe he's an MK Ultra plant. Maybe so. Maybe these guys are possibly the ones that did some portion of the attack and the CIA knew about it and let it happen. Think very similar to Mossad allowing the October 7th attacks to take place. That's what I'm saying. I know there's going to be people with a million different opinions with so many levels of nuance on this. I'm saying that there's a greater than 0% chance that that is what happened here. I'm not saying it definitely is. Sam, go ahead.
Okay, so this is going to be kind of... Okay, so I believe that Osama bin Laden did do it. However, I believe he got a bunch of dumbass motherfuckers in the desert to decide, hey, we're going to take these boxers, get on these planes, and fly in the buildings. However, also believe that CIA knew hands in, like they helped orchestrate it. They used them, but funneled the money and everything. However, believe that the fact that it was Leon Black who bought both towers, correct, and had a double thing.
No, it wasn't Leon Black, but I forget who the guy was. We've talked about him before.
Silverstein,
that's the guy. Thank you.
Thank you. I believe that he knew, he was told this beforehand so he could get his money, and because like about a week before the attacks happened, they had the entire thing shut down for elevator maintenance. Mm-hmm. And then you can see where it starts going down. I'll send you the video of it later, Jacob. But you can literally, like, the video slows down. You can see the blast points of thermite blowing out. I believe all this was 100% set up. I do believe that ye old dumb fuck over there was the mastermind. I believe he came up with, there was a plane that hit it one time before. We tried bombs up in the basement. You know what? Fuck it. Let's just run a plane in it. It should explode. And while it might not kill everyone, it would definitely get the message.
Even if the towers themselves were all a part of the plan by the terrorist group and all these things, I've said this a million times.
It doesn't talk about Building 7.
It doesn't talk about Building 7 or 6. 6 had the vault underneath the building blown, and all the contents of said vault were taken. Building 7 fell with allegedly there was a fire on the roof from flaming debris, and that's apparently enough to bring down a building because there's shit on the roof that's on fire. Structurally, this makes no sense. This is why if you start unraveling the sweater, I believe that it was an inside job, to be honest with you. If it wasn't for Building 7, I would probably just go on with the official narrative, but I just can't. So,
Jacob, there's firefighters talking about, yeah, no, dude, we saw explosion, like bombs go off in the lobby.
And firefighters
but
know what
also-
a controlled demolition looks like, especially in a big city. They have to be present when they do demolitions on big buildings.
That, and when you realize that the fucking CDC came up in hazmat suits and it was test positive of thermite residue.
Also, shouts out to Phil Buscemi, the actor who started off as a volunteer
Steve
firefighter.
Buscemi.
What did I say?
Phil.
Steve Buscemi. Yeah, I'm sorry if I said
Yes.
Phil. My apologies. Steve Buscemi, who was a volunteer firefighter, and when the planes went off, he actually went back to his old volunteer firefighter unit, and he was already a successful actor by that time. You know what I mean? And still
suited
dropped what
up.
he was doing and went in to help. I mean, shouts out, honestly. So anyway,
Trump also helped. He had a bunch of his employees leave the building to go and help with the cleanup. He himself also helped.
absolutely.
So while Trump's not necessarily a great fucking guy, I will say at least he has some more shred of humanity in him than majority of the blood sucking parasites in DC.
No, I agree with that for sure. For sure. Anyway, so yeah, he's got a trial date. What will be the outcome of it? I'm not even sure if they'll do death penalty. Like they may. I would see that as a real strong possibility, but I could also see them doing something like life in prison or something like that too. I have no idea what the legal precedents for this type of situation would look like. And because of the World Trade Center, I'm wondering if the international courts might step in on this or at least be brought in some way. I don't know, but I would like to keep an eye on this as it moves forward, and we'll be talking about it in the weeks to come, y'all. Moving on. So SpaceX, for those that don't know, SpaceX is trying to do something in Louisiana, and the Louisiana governor is, quote, not concerned about environmental impact of Gulf Coast SpaceX facility. So here's my problem. A lot of people in Louisiana are very uneducated as far as what this facility will be doing, what SpaceX as a company is. So a lot of them don't know exactly how to feel on this. You'll find mixed reviews from the people that are read in and crickets from those that got no clue. So let's talk about it here. Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry brushed aside fears Wednesday morning about possible negative environmental impacts from SpaceX's planned $100 billion launch facility in the state. He told CBS News on Wednesday that he was not concerned about the environmental impact of the new spaceport, which will be constructed along the Gulf Coast on a former Exxon property in Vermilion Parish. What I am concerned about is the lack of economic opportunity on the coast that continues to basically rob us of opportunities to rebuild our coast. Okay, I don't really see this being a cure for that, or even a little bit of a drop in the bucket to a cure, but all right. Yeah, the construction will make some jobs happen short term. You may have a few maintenance hands that will start working there full time. We're talking 100 jobs created from this. Everything else is specialized services that Elon's going to bring in his own specialty crews. So it's not, I don't know. I don't believe it's creating jobs for the locals or helping the environment in any way. But all right. Whoa. I don't know why my thing just scrolled and did that just now. That was a weird one. Let's see. Why does it keep doing this? These ads keep popping up and screwing up where I'm reading at. Look at that. Moving forward here, the spaceport will be the company's fourth and largest launch site, and it will serve as the main facility for the Starship, SpaceX's in-development reusable rocket launch system. SpaceX got into hot water over its operations at its first launch site in Boca Chica, Texas. Okay. In 2024, the Texas Commission on Environmental Equality found that the company violated environmental regulations by repeatedly releasing pollutants into nearby bodies of water. This followed an earlier warning by the EPA Region 6 office, which oversees Texas, that SpaceX violated the Clean Water Act with these actions. Elon Musk's company said in a statement that it was committed to working with federal and state agencies and conservation groups to protect shoreline, restore wetlands, and support the wildlife and recreation that depends on them in Louisiana. Obviously, you're not just going off of your last site that we just read about, but cool. Musk thanked the state partners for their support of the new facility in a statement shared by the Louisiana Economic Development on Tuesday. SpaceX was founded to bring about a future where humans are out exploring amongst the stars, which will only be possible when we make going to space as routine as flying on an airplane. Star-based Louisiana will unlock that future. I personally have a hard time seeing that, but okay. Keep in mind, SpaceX runs in a $40 billion deficit every year, y'all. So that can only go for so long here. Thank you, Governor Landry and the people of Louisiana for joining us in this journey. And for their help in the years ahead, we will work together to build one of the most inspirational places on Earth. Bro, this ain't Space Disneyland. What are you talking about? It's a site where you're going to test rockets. It's a rocket launch site. What? All right. The LED estimates the facility will generate more than 11,000 new job opportunities in the area. Okay, including about 3,000 direct jobs and more than 8,000 indirect jobs. Maybe those 8,000 indirect jobs for just like local businesses to support the new facility, you know, just with raw materials and shit like that. I could see that. Maybe 3,000 direct jobs. Yeah, how many of those are specialized and you have to bring in outside people to fill those? Realistically, maybe a few hundred locals will get full-time careers out of this location. Like this is a ridiculous thing to say. Landry called the new partnership with SpaceX the greatest marriage that Louisiana has ever had. Yeah, I respectfully disagree with that. I think when Louisiana was getting ready to become the new Hollywood, that was the greatest business marriage that Louisiana ever had, to be honest with you. But our governor had to get greedy and start trying to tax the hell out of all of the Hollywood studios to operate here. And they all left. Like, we had the golden goose. We really did. And our then governor, he had to give it away. Anyway, all right, moving forward. Now we're going to talk about the Trump administration expands its immigration crackdown with worldwide visa pause. This is an interesting one. Some are saying that this is a very good move. We don't need any more immigrants, legal or otherwise. Some are saying this is clearly racist for all of the reasons. Let's learn about it together.
I'm national correspondent Kayla Gaskins in Washington. The Trump administration is expanding its immigration crackdown, and increasingly that crackdown is reaching legal pathways into the United States. Now, immigrant visa appointments are being paused around the world as officers undergo new training. A new round of tougher visa screening now going global. The State Department says they're halting immigrant visa appointments at U.S. embassies and consulates worldwide as consular officers undergo what the department calls in-depth training. We talked with State Department spokesperson Tommy Pigott. What is the goal of this training?
We want to make sure our consular officers have the tools and resources necessary to properly adjudicate these visa cases. Are they actually going to abide by the terms of the visa that they're applying for?
The new move comes after a federal judge blocked an earlier, broader version of the administration's policy, which suspended visa processing for nationals from 75 countries whose citizens the administration deemed a high risk of relying on public assistance. In response to that ban, the National Immigration Law Center released a statement maintaining this unlawful and racist ban caused immeasurable harm, cruelly keeping families and loved ones apart.
What the Trump administration has done from the beginning is say, we are going to put the American people first.
Earlier this week, the State Department announced it's preparing to revoke B-1 business and B-2 tourist visas from foreign nationals who entered the U.S. as temporary visitors, stayed, then later sought asylum. Those visas require applicants to show they intend to return home. As many as 200,000 people could be impacted.
If that person has applied for that temporary visa with the intent to apply for asylum and stay in this country permanently, they have misrepresented themselves to the consular officer. They have committed fraud. And so this is making sure that we are cracking down on fraud in our visa system.
These moves come on top of the more than 175,000 visas the administration says it's already revoked, including from foreign nationals accused of criminal activity or other visa violations. In Washington, I'm Kayla Gaskins.
So again, he's trying to shut down the visas for businesses, for tourists, for all of these things. We do have an immigrant crisis in the United States for sure. Not sure if this is the right way to go about it, but I guess we'll just see. We'll see. Trump's trying to drop the numbers, so and apparently the ICE is still facing international criminal charges or something like that, but so is so many other people around the world, Netanyahu for one, and they're never going to see the inside of some sort of international court. That's for show. It's for flex. Anyway, moving on, let's talk about the 3 Secret Service officials placed on leave amid misconduct investigation. All right. 3 Secret Service officials, including the agency's director of communications, have been placed on leave as an investigation into potential misconduct unfolds, a source familiar with the decision told CNN. The nature of the alleged misconduct is not immediately clear. All 3 officials, including comms chief Anthony Guglielmi, have lost their security clearances and access to their work devices, the source told CNN, adding that such practice is common during internal investigations. They each work in the agency's communication office. The Secret Service confirmed to CNN that 3 people have been put on leave but did not include the names of the individuals. The agency also did not specify the nature of the alleged misconduct. 3 non-law enforcement personnel at the U.S. Secret Service have been placed on administrative leave. This is a direct quote here per the spokesperson. On their non-law enforcement personnel, so these are more like the clerical side of things, right? The administrational side of things as far as the Secret Service is concerned, have been placed on administrative leave pending an investigation into potential misconduct. Per policy, this incident is being investigated by by the Office of Professional Responsibility. We are unable to comment further at this time. The statement continued. The U.S. Secret Service is committed to upholding the highest standards of professionalism and integrity in fulfilling our zero-fail mission to protect the president and other high-level government officials. That's rich, considering the whole, when Trump got shot in Butler, the actions of the Secret Service that day. And then let's not even bring up the whole state dinner situation, which, or the press dinner situation where old boy just like ran through the checkpoint. And yeah, he got, but somehow didn't fire a shot, allegedly. But then one Secret Service agent was shot, and then they're great. Our critical work demands that our workforce maintain an unwavering commitment to duty, honesty, and courage in all aspects of their jobs. We will continue to pursue the level of excellence that is worthy of the mission which has been entrusted to us by the American people. A spokesperson for Guglielmi told CNN in a statement that the communications director, quote, is a professional of deep integrity whose decades-long public record advocating for local, state, and federal agencies speaks for itself. He holds profound respect for the mission and the work of the United States Secret Service and is cooperating fully with everything being asked of him. That's from Greg Burdenstein, a Maryland attorney who previously served as the state's attorney general for Baltimore City. Interesting. The investigation comes as the agency has been under intense scrutiny over the past several years, as Trump has faced several assassination plots, as well as the more recent reports over a secret maneuver to spirit the president safely away from Turkey this summer. Yeah, well, remember the whole plane swap situation in the catering truck? Some in the agency were questioned in a leak investigation when reports first came out that Trump did not take the Qatari gifted plane out of Turkey because of the possible threats from Iran. FBI Director Kash Patel helped stand up in the initial leak probe from the inside the White House. Also this summer, Secret Service agent on Vice President J.D. Vance's detail was put on leave after investigators suspected the agent leaked information around Vance's travel. The investigation remains ongoing. Guglielmi was the director of communications for some of the most harrowing moments for the agency in recent memory, including several attempted assassinations of Trump, one of which in Butler led to the resignation of the agency's director and a dramatic shift to the agent's writ at large. Okay. Guglielmi also served as communication head for the Chicago and Baltimore police during significant times of civil upheaval. Wow. So anyway, Secret Service, they got some investigations going on internally, 1 for J.D. Vance's crew and 3 for Trump's crew. Well, I don't want to say Trump's crew, communications people. So I'm assuming this is probably, hypothetically, linked up to the Turkey plane situation, especially people that are working in the communications office. So not field agents or like somebody who was caught drinking on the job or something. It wouldn't shock me if some OPSEC went awry here, some operational security. Somebody posted something, spoke on an unsecure line, whatever, that Trump was going at this time from this airport on this plane. And that's probably why the swap up took place. And maybe this is the people that are responsible for that leak. Maybe. I'm not saying that as a certainty. I'm saying it as a possibility. We will see. We will see. But continuing on, speaking of the Secret Service issues haunting update as Iran threatens to kill Barron Trump for $10 million. This is from the Irish Star. So take that with the grain of salt you need, Irish butter and all that. But allegedly Barron Trump has a price on his head from Iran for 10 mil. Okay. A video broadcast by Iran state television appeared to threaten the youngest son of U.S. president while placing a $10 million bounty on him. The U.S. Secret Service confirmed it is aware of the footage, which was circulated by an IRGC-affiliated media outlet, and asked, where and how should we kill Barron Trump? The video also appeared to disclose locations allegedly frequented by Mr. Trump's son, claiming his movements are being fully monitored, quote unquote. Similar threats have previously been directed at First Lady Melania Trump. The most unflattering picture of her, I might add. In a statement to CNN, Nate Herring told the agency, or the network, quote, the U.S. Secret Service is aware of the video and investigates anything that can be perceived as a threat towards our protectees. Out of concern for operational security, we do not discuss matters of protective intelligence. Again, that's that OPSEC I'm talking about. CNN also reported that a federal law enforcement source indicated the video is part of a broader campaign of Iranian-produced content targeting the Trump family and the president himself. Obviously, if you've seen the Lego rap videos, I would say that's accurate. Fine. Anyway, they also report that the federal law enforcement source indicated the video. Oh, I'm sorry, I said that already. The network further noted that its source stated protective operations are constantly adjusted based on a range of security information from the Secret Service, other agencies, police, and other countries. Separately, Iran has pushed back against Donald Trump's warnings of a, quote, economic D-Day targeting the nation. The president posted on Truth Social that the U.S. would launch, quote, the most crushing economic operation ever taken against any country. This is the a clip for the picture from the video, Where to Kill Barron Trump. It's the thing that the IRGC put out. With tensions continuing to run high in Iran and the Strait of Hormuz, Trump warned of economic repercussions for any, quote, country that allows its financial institutions, businesses, airports, or government entities to provide any type of lifeline to Iran, end quote. Iran's foreign ministry responded with a statement released through the state broadcaster IRIB, asserting that those who impose economic sanctions against the nation, quote, are liable to prosecution and punishment. Iran is threatening to prosecute Trump. It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it works out for him. Mr. Trump also appeared to hint that he may soon be, quote, declaring the Strait of Hormuz a territory of the United States in a post on Truth Social. All right, let's talk about that. That would be hilarious. They have also said it's confirmed that the Strait of Hormuz is completely mine-free. If you believe that or not, fine. That is at least the statement that is being made. If we were to take the strait and declare it U.S. territory, similar like a Panama Canal situation, we at least dug the Panama Canal. You know what I mean? We bought the land outright, dug a canal there, and so we could do what we want. It's our land. This would be a takeover, not a purchasing. But I don't actually think the strait is going to become the Strait of America. I think that's a fun idea, and I like it. I like the idea a lot. I don't believe that's actually going to be the case here, y'all. But I don't know, Tony. What's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think he's just bluffing and blustering as usual.
Do you think that Iran did make the threat about Barron Trump like that?
I was just pulling it up on X. There's a Memory TV, MEMRI, Middle East Media Research Institute. I think it's a pretty pro-Israel outfit. I remember watching them 20 years ago. And there's this broadcast all in Farsi. I don't understand a word of it, and the subtitles saying pretty much the same thing you just reported. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, you might be able to get Barron Trump. I don't understand it, so I can't verify it. If it were German or Russian, I would be able to tell you.
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
those subtitles actually match what they said, but I have no idea.
I feel that.
Anyway, I would ignore it. I doubt that it's really IRGC or Iranian government doing it. It's just somebody shit posting in Iran in Farsi.
I mean, even if it is IRGC, hypothetically, like we're bombing the fuck out of them. Yeah, it's not like a crazy thing to say that they would put something out that seems threatening to any of Trump's family. Like, and that's not because Iran's so evil. Like it, yeah, this checks out. Nothing seems unusual here, but yeah, I don't think that Iran's actually got some sort of plot to take out Barron. No, it's whatever. It's people turning a molehill into a mountain, from what I could tell. Go ahead, Sam.
Yeah, no, if you target, I don't care what president is in, like love them, hate them, fucking despise them, gut them, don't care. You don't target the child of somebody like that. Like, and I get it.
He's a college kid, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but like I that's still an American. That's still the kid of our president. I don't care what political they talk. How would you feel like if that you should take that as targeting the next generation, the heart of our fucking country?
I get that, dude.
So
but at the same time, when someone steps into the role as president, they know that their family's got targets on them now. Like that comes with the territory.
I understand that, but I'm just saying that's ungentlemanly. But then again, it's
Iran, of course, ungentlemanly.
I understand. They're not people. Fucking just smite them like Sodom and Gomorrah.
I did not say that. I'm saying the IRGC.
Wait. They started the war? I thought Trump started the war by killing the Ayatollah, his daughter, his son-in-law, and granddaughter, his wife.
No, Iran started it.
Happened.
Iran definitely started it with the funding of Hamas and these other terrorist groups. Like that's
No, they didn't.
I dare say
I don't consider that the start.
What?
I don't consider that the start. I think the assassination was the start of it. That's a more reasonable start, in my opinion.
I think that the actual start of it, we go way back into like the 1780s.
No. With the Iran situation, not the Ottomans, not the Persians. Just hold on, hear me out. We bombed them last year, right? We hit nuclear sites. I would say that wasn't the start of it. That was a part of the start of it. Yeah, now with the death of the Ayatollah and all these things, but I would say the bombings even precursed that. And then why did we bomb them was because of the nuclear capabilities. And if they were a country that didn't support and fund and train terrorist organizations across the Middle East, we wouldn't have cared if they were working on nukes. Well, we would have cared, but not to a level of bombing them like that. At least that's where my brain goes. I don't know. Tony, your thoughts?
We bombed them because Israel's main rival. That's why. And Israel doesn't like Hezbollah. Israel likes a lot of other terrorist groups like Arar al-Sham and Hayat Tahrir al-Sham that got installed in Syria.
Israel
I don't care if Iran supports Hezbollah. I don't care about that.
Israel made their bet on that. Like, I'm not saying that Israel is just, poor Israel. No, I'm not saying that either, right? So, like, for instance, the two-state solution that was originally proposed in the early days when Israel became a British territory, or I should say Palestine. When Palestine became a British territory, right? The two-state solution was already in the works back then. We're talking after World War I. But it kind of, the can got kicked down the road, all these things. But you had a Palestinian government and you had an Israeli government, and the two obviously didn't like each other, but Hamas wasn't the arm of the law, so to speak. Because of Israel's actions, they have forced the Palestinian government into the arms of Hamas. Now the two are basically one and the same. And that's because of Israel's actions. Like, I'm not denying that whatsoever. But Hamas themselves being funded by Iran, okay, I get that. But it's not like Hamas is their one thing. They support all kinds of other groups that have gone out and fought us in different theaters of war. You know what I mean? Like the Houthi rebels are another example. If it wasn't for Iran, the Houthi rebels wouldn't have any of the capabilities that they claim they have. I'm not even saying that any of that is necessarily justification for an all-out war. I am saying that, I would say that these are like the precursors, so to speak. But I mean, if this wasn't the precursors, there would have been others. We need a boogeyman in the Middle East regardless, and Iran just fits that bill really well. So I mean, there's levels, there's nuance. But
yeah, I understand some hostility to Hezbollah because of the situation with the Marines in 1983, a bunch of them getting killed, 240, very serious. It was a long time ago. The Houthis are much more recent than that. Hamas, I think, is also more recent than that. America shouldn't have a beef with anybody over there, but Israel wants to expand, and Israel gets the U.S. military to do its heavy lifting for it. Israel can't defeat Iran, but Israel can get the United States and Iran into a war, and that provides a big distraction so that Israel can take 20% of Lebanon, which is what they did right after that war started.
But
and
it's not like
been able to do it otherwise.
But it's not like Israel's the only reason why we're there. I'm not saying it's not a major reason. No, dude, look, all the
like
other
99%.
All the other Muslim countries, all the other Arab countries don't like Iran either. Like none of them are pissed that we're there. I'm not saying Saudi Arabia is also a portion of the reason why we're there either. I'm saying that like no one's lifting a finger to help Iran as far as their Muslim brothers go. So it's like, there's levels and nuance to this. It was going to be, somebody was going to make some reason for us to go to Iran regardless.
It's Israel. It's not the Gulf states. The Gulf states feel rather betrayed right now because the U.S. didn't really protect them that much. And, the whole reason for them having U.S. bases there was so we could protect them from Iran. But we're the reason they're getting attacked in Qatar and Bahrain and UAE. And we took some of our defensive missiles out of those countries to move them to Israel to protect Israel more because Israel and Iran were trading missiles. And Israel's a higher priority for the U.S. government than the governments of Qatar, Bahrain, UAE.
I am curious. Have you heard about this Middle Eastern alliance that they're trying to form? Basically a Middle Eastern version of NATO?
Yeah, I've heard of this. It's not the GCC, but that's an older one. There's a newer one that's going to include Pakistan, from what I heard. I don't remember the acronym for it.
But it's essentially going to be to where if one of them gets attacked, then all of them jump in. A lot of people are speculating that's being formed because of Iran, the same way that NATO was formed because of Russia. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know enough to comment further. It's just I've heard of it recently, but
okay.
I haven't researched it.
Do some digging on that one, and then next week we're going to come back to this conversation about if Israel is the reason why we're attacking Iran, or if it's pretty much everybody united, just like, hey, America, you could go handle this problem that all of us have. That'd be great. And if, as usual, Israel is leading the charge and got the loudest megaphone, like for sure. But we'd love to hear your take on that whenever you do a little more digging into it. I could be wrong in my assumption, but this is why I enjoy our back and forth, Tony. I'm going to be honest with you. You definitely bring new perspectives that I don't have, so I love that. Now, we're going to end this episode on this more disturbing story, to be honest with you. So a Houston attorney accused of bestiality with family dog after wife installed cameras. This is a thing going on in old Houston, H-Town down. Stephen Swain, 56, was charged with bestiality after his wife installed cameras around their home and allegedly captured a disturbing incident with the family dog. That is him. This is the weirdo himself. A Houston lawyer's been accused. That's like the third time that sentence has been said. He's facing bestiality charges in relation to a disturbing November 2025 incident. Authorities began investigating Swain, who is the principal of the Swain Law Firm and has practiced as an attorney in Houston since 1997. Back in May, when his wife made a complaint against him to the Houston Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. She installed cameras in the home due to an ongoing renovation and reported that when reviewing the footage, she'd caught her husband forcing oral from their dog, according to a probable cause affidavit. The court document describes the pet as a small black dog named Shipley. Oh my God. Swain's wife said that she was unaware how long this has been going on, but believes it's happened more than once. Well, yeah, no shit. Nobody just wakes up and decides to give that a whirl, okay? According to the document, after discovering the footage, Swain's wife separated from him and took the dog with her. Good. On May 11th of this year, the Houston Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals contacted Detective Natalie Spellman, an animal cruelty investigator and peace officer for the Harris County Constable Precinct 1, regarding the complaint about Swain. Oh, look, you guys nose dotted. Yeah, that's right. You see his mugshot. Detective Spellman reviewed the video submitted by, what in the world? I don't know why the article just did that to me, but okay, that's cool. Where were we? I don't know where how long this is going on. Mugshot. Okay, here we go. Detective Spellman reviewed the video submitted by Swain's wife and detailed the affidavit, how it showed Swain lying on his back in a bed in a room that appeared to be a bedroom. Swain could be heard saying, "Come here, Shipley," and the family dog comes into frame. Oh, no. The detective went on to describe the disturbing alleged abuse of the dog over the course of the video, which was 1 minute and 27 seconds long. Bro, your boy is into that. Your boy is like seriously into that. Wow. Detective Spellman spoke to Swain's wife on May 13th. She told the detective that her family was going through a home renovation set to last a year and a half, so she installed security cameras around the home to monitor the work of contractors. Whew. Okay, Swain's wife went on to recall how at the end of October or beginning of November, she discovered that her husband was seeing prostitutes regularly multiple times, along with other weird occurrences inside the home. Oh, so your boy was just out there in them streets. He belongs to the streets. This led her to obtain additional cameras. She said she placed a nanny cam type device in the bedroom because the contractors carrying out the renovation were working in their bathroom at the time. She said the incident took place on November 21st of 2025 and that she found out about it that night after checking the cameras. She also told detectives she did not know what to do after finding the footage and said she was 100% sure that the man in it was her husband and that the dog was shipped. Well, yeah, obviously. Following the investigation, Swain was charged with felony bestiality. He has since been released from jail on a $75,000 bond. Well, I guess that's as good a place as any to wrap up an episode of the Cajun Night Live. Wow, here we are. Before we wrap and leave, though, I do want to check the comments and make sure that I didn't miss anything from anybody here. Let's see. Become an isolationist nation. Oh Lord, Sam. No, I don't want us to become isolationist. I do want us to just kind of handle home base for a while. I'm going to be honest with you.
So, like when I meant isolationist, like we don't have any people coming in, and if we have people leave, they gone for like 5 years. Like we have hardcore shutdown borders, but we still have outcast everyone else in R&D.
These are fair statements. These are true. Norse Trucker, what did you send me that your wife wanted to have brought up on the TikTok? What is this?
Years old, 3 in a row, 80 years old, too good, 1 bad, please make it so, 80 years old, 3 in a row, too good, 1 bad, please make it so, 80 years old, 3 in a row, too good, 1 bad,
what is
please
this
make
shit?
it so.
This is her. She's like giving a spell to where the third one that's going to die, who's 80, hopefully it'll be somebody who's like a bad guy that's going to die, not a good one. That's her putting her intentions and vibes out there. I think it's funny. Anyway. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe there will be a third 80-year-old that got here. I personally, as of this moment, believe that Hayden Panettiere was the third celeb, but maybe they'll all be the same age. Maybe there'll be a thing. We will see, and if so, then y'all know we're going to make an episode about it on the Cult of Conspiracy. As we wrap this episode, I want to thank all of you, as I always do, for joining me this Wednesday evening and having this amazing, fun exchange of ideas and conversation. Once again, for anybody listening that wants to be a part of this, go to the link in the description below to patreon.com/Cajun Night. There's only one tier for entry. We do this every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Central, y'all. Come be a part of it. Come join in the conversation. Come share things that you find interesting in your neck of the woods or something just from around the world that you find interesting, and just be a part of the collective, man. Once again, everybody, I am the Cajun Knight, and as always, God bless.